Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for another AppScan Tuesday. Last week was a really exciting week. We had launched our AppScan on cloud in EU. So we have an instance in Europe for those customers that live in Europe and have issues with data residency and couldn't use the US-based data center that we have. So welcome. And this is episode number 30, and I have with me today a good friend of mine, Jason Lee. Hi,
Hi.
Jason. As you see
I
the name says Dong Gil, but it goes
yeah,
also by the name Jason to make it easy for people that have
right.
issues
Exactly.
pronouncing.
Exactly. It is great to see you again, Ethan.
Hi, Jason. Nice to see you
Yeah,
all the way from Singapore.
right.
So,
It is.
a good thing we
It
can
is not
record that.
midnight yet.
Yeah, good thing we can record it ahead of time. Otherwise, I would keep you really, really late for this. So,
Thank you
Jason,
so much. Yeah.
we were discussing about the session that I did last week with Neil, where we
Mm,
showed how to automate static analysis scans using Jenkins in
yes.
ASOC. And you
Right.
came and told me, hey, we can do that with AppScan Source also for our on-prem customers. So you wanted to show
Right.
it on the show.
Exactly. Exactly. Actually, I like the ASAC as well. And the way of ASAC provide the better features and integration is really cool. But still, there are a bunch of customer who using develop their source code internally, and they cannot connect to the internet. In that sense, they supposed to have something else, and AppScan Source for automation will help them. I believe so.
Yeah, and we have people that prefer the on-prem, the cloud, whatever works for them.
Right.
The on-prem AppScan Source is even more hands-on, and
Sure.
ASOC, the cloud solution, is more easy
Yeah.
and lightweight. So let's jump into it. Let you show me the demo.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go into the demo. Okay, let me share my screen first. Good. All right. This is a typical the sample. How does CLI automation script is processed? So, when you run a scan with the build automation, you need to have AppScan source for automation and a script to perform a scanning below the build environment.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to do is creating a script, start the AppScan source, and log into the system and select the CLI environment and open the application, scan the application, then generate the report. And if you want to publish the scan result into the AppScan source, then publish it, and then finish the AppScan source CLI session, which means the automation session is done.
Sounds pretty
So this is,
straightforward.
yeah, it is very, very, very straightforward. So this is very simple.
No,
So
just
what
okay.
happens is this is a typical Jenkins in the browser, and there are a bunch of the build the pipelines there. And if you have one pipeline you want to utilize, it doesn't matter what one or 10, it's going to be all same work. And the effort, what you do is just ask your build engineer, because Jenkins system is not belong to a security person. Even belong to the developers. There might be an engineer who only focus on the building. So ask them, okay, we need to scan this application during the build stage. Then, you know, I need to do this. It's a very simple one, actually. So what you need to do is ask them, actually they don't need to create a new project, but this is a sample one. So I'm gonna just tell you one thing, all right? If there is a build application, build automation Jenkins. All right, create the one application, and the application is supposed to build with some build script. And actually, security team doesn't need to do this. This one is very typical configuration. And there's supposed to be a build file and build script from the customer side, the build automation system side. So just tell them, okay, there's a application, then I'm gonna scan the application.
Yeah,
Then they will actually work with this file, this configuration.
yeah. So what you're showing has nothing to do with security. This so far, it's
Right.
just
Nothing
the
to do
regular
with
build in
scripting.
Jenkins.
Right, exactly. And if you want post a scan result, which means a report on the after scanning the application, then also you can just tell them, I need to post the scan result. Then he will do this, publish the HTML report. And only what you need to do is just tell him about where the scan result is gonna store. So the path of the directory and the name of the scan report.
And you need this because at the end we do want the report to be in the Jenkins results end of the build, but it's not a must. It's just if you really want to do something with the results, which we know you want to.
Yes, exactly. And if you have additional report you want to share, then you can create as much as you want. Because you can actually Jenkins is a system you can add in as much as you want to do, run the script or create something. So anyway, save it. Actually, this is done. Very simple. So what we have done was we just build a build system. And what I'm gonna do is we need to create the CLI command script, which I saw you before. Because build system will build the application, and at the end of the build, we just run the scan using the AppScan source for automation. And this script will actually execute to log into the system from the Jenkins system with the source code. So as I mentioned, as I show you from the presentation file, the simple script will start with the login. And after logging to the system, we have to open the application. Otherwise, there's no point to scan. After open the application, there's a the command for the scanning, which is a scan command. And this file name is just automatically create after command. So just going to put any name with the OJASMT file extension.
And this is the file that will
after
be created
scanning,
at the end of the scan. Basically, this is this.
Right, exactly. File. You're right. Right. After scan is complete, you have to create a report. Otherwise, the scan result will not be shown to anyone. So create a report with a report command. You can, from the report command, actually you can choose the type of the report and the type of the file, and you can choose the type of the location where the scan result is gonna not scan result, the report is gonna store, and the name of the report. And this is the option, how many information, the source code information you're gonna put, from where, from start where to start, the end page. Okay, yes. After posting the report, then you can decide if you want to push into the the scan result into the AppScan Enterprise server, just using the publish AppScan Enterprise with the scan file name and folder.
And this will allow the security team to see all the information back in AppScan Enterprise. And probably the development team doesn't care much about it, or maybe they don't, but it doesn't cost them anything to add that.
That's right. I totally like that speech. Right. So after then, the create the session, then everything's done. Save this.
And this is a script that tells, this is a script that invokes AppScan Source and does all the work. How did we connect it to the Jenkins?
Right, exactly. Yep, you got a point. Yep, I didn't actually explain that about. When you go to the configuration, actually when the build pipeline execute the build, there is an option to run the script. The build file is actually there. I forgot to put it, the build XML. This is XML file which Jenkins system typically using when Jenkins build the application. So any application build system has, it doesn't matter whether it's XML or whatever this kind different file format. So there would be a build file to run the building. So let's go to see the build script. How does it look like? Okay. All right. Can you see the screen, right? This is a typical, very typical build script on Jenkins for Java application especially. But I have some tweak on build script because we need to using the AppScan source to scan the source code to bring the scan result and find the vulnerability. So what we need to do is actually the CLI script is actually running at very end of the script itself, the build script itself. So when we go to the very end of the very end of the file, then there's the script called scan target application using CLI script. This is in command for the what I put in, and this is actually using the CLI script which we create before after build the source. So when the WAR file for the Java is created, actually AppScan source for automation is using the script to scan the file.
And it's very little, basically it's just line 79 that has the information in it, as I see, right?
Right, exactly, right, this is it.
But I think I saw when you had at the beginning of the file also some header or something, right?
Yes, right. To perform the scanning, there are some other things also need. Actually, there are several ways to perform the scanning, but we need to have a precise scan result, and we want to using the build automation to perform a scanning. So what we have done is actually just like you mentioned, there's something else there. The first thing is we need to actually bring a AppScan source and or owns like the build utility, what we call the build utility, AppScan source build utility. So the owns and the jar file is one part of the build utility, and joining this with a build process to let AppScan source for automation able to trace the taint data when we compile source.
And before anyone gets worried, Jason assured me earlier we are using Ant here because this was a Jenkins. This was a Ant build in Jenkins. We could use Maven and others if needed.
Right, exactly. So we have different sort of build utility as well, just like you mentioned, owns Ant, owns Maven, owns Make as well. So if the customer has a different building with a different tool, they can also using different building utility from AppScan source as well. So this is a typical Java, and the building process is using the limbo Ant. So we're using the owns Ant to join the the compiling.
So this was a line like include, and then you have below that also a few lines below more ounce labs.
Yep. Yeah, right. There's another one. So this is another AppScan source integrator, what they call the owns compiler adapter. When you read this, you can feel it. Okay, it helps. It is supposed to work with when we compile something. AppScan source is joined with the compile process, right? So this is actually to help the AppScan source to understand about tracing of the file. So owns compiler adapter is very important to submit it. So the thing is, among the entire build script, we only need to put one line and another line, and very end there's another line. The 3 line of code just able you to just perform source code scanning with the build environment.
And the idea here is that, if you have your Jenkins builds, and many of our customers have a lot of Jenkins build, instead of having a plugin to add there and to configure, you can actually automate this pretty easily because it's an XML file.
Yes.
And you can add static analysis to a large number of builds with not a lot of effort. That's why we are showing this approach here this time.
Thank you so much, Aidan. You're so, the way of speaking is really good. I like that. Exactly, exactly. It can be automated as well. Because when you have AppScan Source, the location is just text and file name is already text.
Yeah.
So just copy and paste and copy and paste. That's it. And
K-
all the location, the path of the file, the location of the application is all yours. The information is the file information and context is already there in build system.
Yeah.
This
Can
is
you run?
nothing new.
Can you run the
Yep,
build so we will see we can
sure.
trust you more that it works? Not that I don't
Right.
trust you.
Yep. Okay. Then, we go to check, how does it work? So go to the project we just create and click build now. If you build engineer doing the regular periodical, building, then, the schedule will be there and it's going to be automatically work. But, this is a testing and showing how does it work. So, I just click manually the Jenkins, build automation. After click it, actually it just finished the scanning. Let me see. Let's just show you, how does it looks like now. I just create a new one and building start and go to the console output. Then you will see, okay, this is very quick. You will see, they clean up the class file and they just compile it. And the build system assemble the file, and then in the files there, then AppScan CLI script is running, which you seen from the build XML file. The build XML file will just use the CLI script to run the scanning. So scan is done, and it'll just push the HTML publisher report into the Jenkins.
Yeah, and to be fair, this scan is extremely fast because it's an extremely small project.
Yeah, right.
We,
Exactly.
we're not trying to we're not trying to say that every build and every scan that you will run will complete in seconds, but
Yeah, right.
we'll
Exactly.
see.
You're right. Yep.
Maybe I'll
Yep.
bring you back to with the video so we can talk instead of using the demo.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So just to summarize what we did, right? There is a build XML already created for you as a
Right.
security person because
Right.
the developer engineer, the DevOps engineer is using it already. What you did, you wrote a small script that used AppScan Source CLI,
Yep.
and you showed that it's
Right.
very easy to find those commands, and then
Yes.
connected that script into Jenkins with basically 3 lines. We showed that
Right.
your XML had more than that, but basically it's just 3 lines that are needed in order to
Exactly.
connect it.
Right.
From your experience working
So,
with customers, I mean,
yep.
how?
Actually, most of the customers are actually very happy to using the AppScan source with linking with the Jenkins, because AppScan source has tremendous very precise command to
Mhm.
help the user to make any sort of script very flexible way. So they're
Yeah.
very happy with that. Yeah.
And as much as we love our plugins and the simple story that they share, it doesn't always
Yeah.
work for customers. They want the hands-on. They want to be able to
Sure.
customize it. So that's why we're
Right.
doing this session here.
Exactly, exactly. So anyone who is really geek and who want to the message, the tools and build system, then it's better they using the AppScan Source CLI with
Yeah,
automation.
to get their hands dirty, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay. Thanks very much, Jason. And I'm sure that we will have more sessions in the future. If anyone has questions about the script, about these codes, I'll include Jason LinkedIn profile below in the description. So if you want to reach out to him. And by the way, if you want more training on how to use AppScan Source, if you recall, Peter was on the show a few weeks or months ago. I can't recall anymore. He was talking about trainings that
Yeah,
we
he
are
was.
offering. You can also reach out to Jason for that if you have questions.
Okay,
So
cool.
until
Yep.
next time, bye bye.
Sure. Bye. Ciao.